Well, Noah found favor in the eyes of God, and he walked with God. And even though God was disappointed that he had even made man and animals because of the wickedness that was on the earth, he was going to destroy the earth. But he remembered Noah. He remembered that he was righteous in his time. And that's a good thing to remember. I believe that the ark was God's method of salvation for Noah and his family, and that his special purpose for us is the salvation through Jesus Christ, and for those of us that are alive now, the rapture of the church. But nevertheless, we see here with Noah, he's going to get some very specific instructions from God as to how to build an ark and what to do with that ark. Let's take a look at the scriptures. This is how you shall make it. The length of the ark, 300 cubits, its breadth, 50 cubits, and its height, 30 cubits. You shall make a window for the ark and finish it to a cubit from the top, and set the door of the ark on the side of it. You shall make it with lower and second and third decks. Behold, I, even I, am bringing the flood of the water upon the earth to destroy all of the flesh which is in the breath of life from under the heavens, and everything that is on the earth shall perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall enter the ark, you and your sons and their wives, and your sons' wives with you, and every living thing of all flesh. You shall bring two of every kind into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of the birds after their kind, and of the animals after their kind, of every creeping thing on the ground after its kind. Two of every kind shall come to you to keep them alive. As for you, take yourself and some of your food, and all food which is edible, and gather it to yourself, and it shall be food for you and for them. Thus Noah did according to all that God commanded him, so he did. There's some very interesting things in the text here. In verse 15, God is very specific about the size of the ark. He's already calculated what it's going to take for all of the animals and for Noah and his family. If you really want to see something special, take a look at the ark that's been built. It's available. It was built to size so that you could get some concept of what this ark was like. Verse 16, it's a 3-story ark with window and door. Also notice the judgment that God declares upon the wickedness of the earth. Sometimes we just preach the love of God and we forget to preach the judgment of God. God's not going to be patient forever. And God is a just God. He will bring justice to the world. Notice verse 18, the salvation is in a covenant that God is making with Noah and his family. Verses 19 and 20, two of every kind of animal, male and female, so they can repopulate the earth. But you'll also notice later in the text that there were more than two of some of the species, and for good reasons. Finally, I would like you to notice the food supply that God has. This is going to be a fairly long voyage, and God has told Noah to gather food and to put it on board the ark so that both he and his family and the animals will have something to eat. But the most important verse of all of the verses here is verse 22. Noah obeyed God. Let me say it again for you. Noah obeyed God. He did exactly what God said. And in verse 22, he not only does everything that God says, but it goes on and says, and so he did. God just wants us to be obedient to his commands. That's his desire. But it's not so that it pleases him. He knows when we follow his commands, they're for our best interest, so that we might have life and have it abundantly. We need to obey God. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.